The Arousal Theory of Motivation. This is a group presentation by Nika Albert, Laniqua Hendricks, Dominique Williams, and Rakisha Willock. What is the arousal theory of motivation? The arousal motivational theory basically says that the environmental factors influence certain emotions and feelings for a person. Sherry 2019 notes that the arousal theory of motivation suggests that people are driven to perform actions in order to maintain an optimum level of physiological arousal. Everyone has a unique arousal level, and when this level drops, we use invigorating activities to boost those levels. In contrast, if those levels become too elevated, we find relaxing activities to get back to our desired level. Balancing our arousal levels are so important, as optimum arousal levels are different for each person. There are many factors that might influence each person's optimum arousal levels, including genetics, experience, and current mood. However, environmental factors determine our current mood most of the time. Does our level of arousal contribute to our performance? Yes, it does. Higher arousal levels may allow us to perform better, while lower arousal levels may hinder good performance. This is known as the Yerkes-Dodson law. This law can be expressed on a graph as an inverted U-curve. Haynes notes that arousal improves performance only up to a point, but beyond that point, performance will begin to decline. A moderate level of arousal will help us to do things better. An extreme level will impair how well we do. Therefore, it is important to maintain an optimum level, that is one that is not too high or too low. It is important to note from motivation and emotion that 1. Theories of arousal rest on the assumption that our bodies need to be in a state of physiological and psychological balance. If the body experiences excessive stimulation and overarousal, either physiologically or mentally, then arousal levels in the body increase. An increase in arousal levels will in turn motivate an individual to participate in behaviors which will reduce arousal levels back to the optimum level, which is called optimal arousal. 2. Motivational arousal can increase and decrease with its level of intensity, being guided by how an individual perceives a task. If a task is expected to be difficult, the need for motivational arousal will increase, whereas if the task is expected to be easy, motivational arousal will decrease. There are some factors that influence arousal motivation. Personality is a factor influencing an individual's optimum level of arousal. Whether a person is introverted or extroverted has been discovered as a leading factor in arousal-seeking behaviors. As Eisnick 2006 concluded, extroverts tend to dampen arousing effects and thus seek out highly arousing activities in order to reach optimum levels of arousal. An extroverted person will be able to perform better than an introvert if they were able to complete the highly stimulating activity, whereas introverts seek out less arousing activities because of their sensitivity to stimulation, needing only minimally arousing activities to reach their optimum level of arousal. Trait anxiety has been attributed to affecting each individual's optimal arousal. Thoughts of failure, negative self-talk, and lack of confidence tend to govern the cognitions of people with high trait anxiety, making even a simple task more complex and arousing. An individual with low trait anxiety is recognized as being able to handle a higher threshold of pressure, as they are less likely to enter into the same damaging thoughts. The higher the trait anxiety of an individual, the higher the likelihood of them perceiving a task as highly complex, and thus arousal levels will increase. The lower the trait anxiety, the more likely an individual is to believe they can successfully complete the task, consequently lowering the complexity and arousal levels. Excessive stimulation and overarousal. Increased heart rate, pupil dilation, and changes in breathing have been attributed to excessive stimulation and physiological overarousal. Excessive stimulation and overarousal can be a sign of stress, and according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, Some of the main stressors affecting individuals include serious illness, death, divorce or separation, mental illness, serious disabilities, abuse or violent crimes, trouble with police, and witnessing violence. Sensation seeking is a construct developed by Marvin Zuckerman in 1971 that has gradually become a personality trait. Through engaging in risky behaviors, a sensation seeker's main objective is to raise levels of internal arousal, with the trait being defined by a willingness of an individual to take risks to fulfill a desire for new stimulation. This can lead to partaking in risky behaviors such as drug and alcohol abuse, frequent sexual activity, and smoking. Under-arousal. A low resting heart rate and shallow breathing have been recognized as an indicator of physiological under-arousal. If a person is under-aroused, there is no driving force to motivate their behavior and fulfill their needs.